Hi, this is Adam. This is another Eye on North Carolina blog. We are here in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Levine Museum of the New South. I am here with Crystal and Sally. They're going to tell us more of the museum and give us a good brief introduction about what this museum has to offer. Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
Good.
We're basically a history museum. We tell the story of Charlotte and the surrounding area from the end of the Civil War up until present day. It's all a self-guided tour and usually takes about an hour to see everything. It's a big exhibit. There's more movies inside. There's a sharecropper's house. There's a cotton gin. It's a great exhibit, and we want you to stop by if you possibly can. We're very reasonable, $8 for adults and $6 for students, seniors, or educators. And we also can validate your parking next door.
Now, in addition to our permanent exhibit, Cottonfields to Skyscrapers, we have a second floor that is reserved for revolving exhibits. From 2014 to 2016, we're going to be looking at the civil rights movements of various groups of people with a program called Destination Freedom, Civil Rights Struggles Then and Now. You should treat yourself to these exhibits. They're very thought-provoking, very poignant, but also very educational. In addition to our wonderful exhibits, we also have a Visitors Information Center to share with you, as well as natives behind the counter. Whatever is missing on the store. And a lovely gift shop that has something for everybody. Souvenirs representing the museum, the city, the state, as well as the exhibits that we have here, and a little bit for the children too. So come on down, we'd love to see you.
With historian Tom Hanchett, who's going to tell us more about this exhibit.
What's the New South? It's the South since the Civil War. At the end of the Civil War, the South was in ruins, slavery was gone, the South had to reinvent itself, and basically we're still reinventing. We've gone from slavery to segregation to civil rights, from fields to factories to finance. Those are the stories we tell at the Levine Museum of the New South. This is the first section of our exhibit, Cottonfields to Skyscrapers, and it gives you a sense of how farming was reinvented in the years after the Civil War. The railroads connected this part of North Carolina to the global market, and people started growing cotton in large amounts. That's one of the very first cotton gins in this area. And at the same time, folks began to invent the sharecropping system. Tenant farmers who didn't make very much did most of the farming, a small number of landowners. So Levine Museum of the New South tells some of the difficult history as well as the sort of the happier history you might expect. This is an actual Klan hood worn in upstate South Carolina. And when we first put that on display, we put out Post-it notes and had people react to it, and they told us two things. One was that they thought it was awful, but we should keep it because this is real history. And the other is that they have stories and reactions, things that should be part of the museum. And so Post-it notes, reaction boards are something Levine Museum of the New South always does. Come on in the house. Don't let the screen doors open. The mill world was a world that brought people together. On the farm, you were isolated. In town, you went together to church, you played together. There was opportunities to make music, to play mill baseball. And folks remember hard times working in the mill, but good times living in mill villages. Like a downtown in the early 20th century. It's all plaster and paint. It's based on real architectural plans from the original Bell department store in Charlotte. This is one of the early buildings where country music and gospel music recording went on. Charlotte was the center, surpassed Nashville in the late 1930s.
Wow.
Carolina Theater still stands, but hasn't been renovated. So is the factory where Henry Ford made Model Ts and Model A's. So all sorts of amazing people started their recording careers here in Charlotte. All sorts of amazing people did recording here in Charlotte, bluegrass, gospel, blues. Carter family recorded here. Bill Monroe, the guy that started bluegrass music.
Yeah.
Segregation was a big issue in Charlotte as it was in the rest of the Carolinas, not just in the Deep South. These are the actual white and colored signs from Charlotte City Hall. The story that gets told in the school books is a very simple story usually. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, but every community had civil rights leaders who were working before all of that happened and continued working long after. This is one of the first buses bought to implement the Swan versus Board of Mecklenburg County busing decision, national model for court-ordered busing for racial balance. Huge issue all by itself. In many ways, the era of growth kicked off when interstate banking was developed beginning out of Charlotte in the 1980s. And Charlotte banks began to buy banks out of state. And by the end of the 1990s, Bank of America was headquartered in Charlotte, the first coast-to-coast bank. And so that has been one of the engines of Charlotte's growth. But Charlotte is really much more than just a banking center. It is also the home for 8 Fortune 500 companies and lots of newcomers. In 1990, Mecklenburg County here had 500,000 people. It just hit 1 million people. And you can see those changes in the center city. There's the center city in 1976. There it is just recently. A lot of folks don't know that the orange traffic barrel was invented in Charlotte.
Wow.
Isn't that appropriate for a city that's growing so fast?
You see these everywhere you go.
Part of the leadership in Charlotte, as they have everywhere. Hard to believe that there were no women elected officials in 1970. There were no women in television news in 1970. Those changes are highlighted here at the Levine Museum. As are the newer changes. Charlotte has become a magnet for newcomers from around the United States, around the world. Charlotte is the fastest growing major Latino market in the United States. But it's not just Latinos who are here. Folks are coming from all over the place. The folks from Latin America, next largest group is from India, next largest group is from Vietnam. There are people here from Africa, from everywhere. Bosnia, Buffalo, New York.
Good old Buffalo.
Yeah. People are still making history today. Charlotte just hit 1 million people for the first time. There is no one majority race. It's more than 51%. Charlotte is really at the cutting edge of a lot of history making today.
So I'd like to thank Tom, Crystal, and Sally for giving us a great tour of the museum. And I really appreciate you guys inviting me out here today.
Thank you very much for coming to see us. And we hope you'll come back.
Thank you.
Levine Museum of the New South, College and 7th Street in Uptown Charlotte.
We also do weddings and parties.
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, thank you.